So I've asked the back to flag and wave me down when I have 5 minutes left, because I don't pay attention to that clock back there. So if you see me looking up and you see a bunch of people waving, that's what that is. How's everybody doing today? Good. I'm a little nervous. I always get nervous when I come up here. But so I'm going to loosen up here for a minute. I'm going to tell you, so the lesson today, I'm just going to kind of talk today. I mean, I have notes, but I'm going to tell you the process of how this has happened here. So my lesson today that I'm supposed to be teaching on is we are called to be holy. And so there is a outline, like a deal that they send out, and it shows like, just kind of an outline for you. I'm going to be honest with you. I can read, but like as I'm trying to read this, it looks Greek to me, literally. I cannot even read this. I can't comprehend anything this thing is saying. And I was like, Lord, I don't know. So I started making notes, and it's kind of talking about Peter a little bit. And so I'm like, all right, this was, I guess, a few weeks or maybe 4 weeks ago. Started making notes talking about Peter. Peter had a temper, Peter's letters, all these kind of things. And just kind of had it on there. Well, I was supposed to teach this lesson when we had the ice storm. And that was, a couple weeks ago? And so, obviously, church was canceled. And so, this was put on hold. But here's what's interesting. So I thought I was going in a different direction with this. I was like, oh, this is where we're going. Well, then Monday, the office wasn't open. So I was at home all day, and I literally went my home office from it was like 7-something in the morning, and just kind of seeking out and just kind of going over. And when I finally looked down, I was like, my Lord, it's after 5 p.m. So, needless to say, this has taken in another direction. It's been really hard for me to frame anything out on this, so I'm, writing stuff down. You wouldn't be able to tell what this all is, but anyway, so I am going to touch on Peter a little bit, but I feel like God has directed me to talk to you guys in real time. So let me just say this. When I'm talking on these things, I am talking to myself. I'm talking to myself and everyone in this room. So this is just so we're clear on that. But as I'm looking through and I'm kind of thinking about Peter, I told you I'll talk about him a little bit. Thinking about Peter, thought about him. What is it called to be holy? What does that mean? And kind of thinking about when they were out on the boat and, Jesus started walking towards them, and they were fearful because they didn't know who he was. Just kind of thinking about all that. And I'm like, well, why didn't they know who he was? Because they weren't expecting him at that time, right? So what time did he come? And so kind of started digging into that. And I'm just going to tell you, this is where it first started going. Well, he came to them, during the fourth watch. And that's where I thought we were going with this. And that's between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. So I kind of started looking up, and I'm like, fourth watch, interesting, 3 a.m. Whoever in here gets woken up in the middle of the night? I know I do, all the time. I can tell you right now that I don't even have to look at my phone. I will get woken up, and almost every single time it is 3 a.m. Every single time. And so what do I do at 3 a.m. when God wakes me up? What do I do? Sometimes I get up. Sometimes I don't. I like my sleep. I'm tired. And I'm like, Lord, I'll just lay here and talk to you for a minute. But then I'm right back asleep. Well, should I have gotten up? Probably. Sometimes when I'll get up, I'll pray, or I'll sit in my chair in the living room. What do you have for me, Lord, at this time? But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't always get up. And so I just thought that was interesting, the hours. So I looked up what happens to your body. When I tell you I've been digging around here, I've been digging around. What happens to your body during that time? That studies show and science shows during that time frame, between those early morning hours just before dawn, that is when your body is the weakest. Your body is the most tired. It's weak. And I thought that was interesting. I was like, So if your body is the weakest during that time, why does God want to talk to you during that time? I don't know. So I'm just giving you my thought process. Again, this is not laid out. I'm not a professional teacher or anything like that. I'm giving you what this whole process for the last month has been doing. So I'm going to read to you here, and then we're going to get into where the Lord directed me, I feel like. So, talking to us in real time. Jesus warns us of the importance of apprehending the purposes of God in prayer and worship during those hours. In Luke 12:35 through 40. Let your waist be girded and your lamps burning, and you yourselves be like men who wait for their master, when he will return from the wedding, that when he comes and knocks, that many open to him immediately. Blessed are those servants whom the master, when he comes, will find watching. Assuredly, I say to you that he will gird himself and have them sit down to eat, and he will come and serve them. And if he should come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them so, blessed are those servants. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Therefore, you must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming in an hour that you do not expect. Furthermore, Jesus had the parable of the sower and the seed, represents as a reflection of the night hours and their impact on kingdom dynamics. So Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. In Matthew 13:24 through 25, and then Job 38:12 relays the impact of prayer during the morning hours to command what happens in the day. So that Monday, I'm like, okay, well, I see maybe we need to talk about the watch. Maybe it's the watch. Maybe it's the fourth watch. Maybe that's where we need to go on this. That's where I'm kind of feeling. It just struck me, and but on that Monday for the ice storm, started looking into it, and actually the Lord directed me to the Garden of Gethsemane. And that's where that's where my entire Monday went. The whole Monday. Gethsemane. Do you guys know what the word for holy in Hebrew means? It's separate or set apart, belonging to, consecrated, or sacred. In Greek, it's pretty much the same: sacred, pure, and worthy. So everybody knows about the story of the Garden of Gethsemane, right? So Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane. This is after the Passover meal. He goes there to pray. And so Gethsemane actually means oil press. And so the location of this place is actually at the foothills of the Mount of Olives. So who did he take with him? So when he went in there, the Bible says that Peter, James, and John went with him. But what did he tell them to do when he was there? He told them to tarry and watch and pray with him, right? So if you're just kind of reading it, you're kind of just going through, and I've read this story I don't know how many times and heard this, your whole life. You read, you listen, but then I started really, really digging into it. So if he's calling us to be holy, he's calling us to be like him, right? So we know in holy, when you think, oh, we're called to be holy, well, we're talking about, does that mean my actions, my everyday, verbiage with people, my conversations. Yes, it does mean that. What do I do? What do I say? How I present myself. Yes, all that as well. But what does it mean to be truly like him? If we're supposed to be like him and he's calling us to be like him, then what does that really mean? So where is the root of this? So as I'm studying and going through with the Garden of Gethsemane, he told them to wait, right? He went in there to pray. And it says that he wasn't far from them. What did he pray? He prayed, "Oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me." But then in the same breath, he said, "Nevertheless, not as I will, but thou wilt." Okay. So reading this, I'm going through and I'm like, okay, we know he prayed. Sometimes it can be repetition. I'm being honest with you. When you pray, sometimes you're looking and you're like, okay, and you're kind of going through. But then sometimes God will make you stop on something. Your eye will catch on something, and then you'll start going through. And I'm like, okay, so he prayed, and he went in there. Why did he pray? He was in flesh. He was human. He was perfect without sin, but he was still human. Don't you know how scared he was? And I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, he knew what his purpose was, and he knew that he would do the will of his Father, but he showed his humanity. He did not want to suffer. He didn't want to suffer, but he knew that was the will of his Father for this to take place. So he didn't pray once. He prayed 3 times. But what happened? He prayed, and he went back to find the disciples, and what were they doing? They were sleeping, literally sleeping. How are you sleeping when you've seen all of these things that he's done? You've seen miracles after miracles. I don't know about you. I know what I just told you. Sometimes you go to sleep. We're human. But if I'm seeing him in flesh standing there and he's asking me to pray, I want to say that I feel like that I would, right? I feel like if the man asked me, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? But they didn't. They fell asleep. He went back. He got upset. When Jesus saw, he went to them, and basically, he was like, you couldn't even pray with me for an hour? He went back and prayed. He prayed the exact same prayer, but always ending it with his willingness to fulfill his Father's will. Not my will, but he was so much so, he was in anguish over this, that there was an angel sent to comfort and strengthen him. Why did he need comfort and strength? Right? He did. He needed it. He needed it in that moment, but he knew. He prayed. How many times do we get offended when our prayers aren't answered? All the time, right? You pray for something, doesn't happen, you can get offense towards God. He could have got offended there. I'm praying, but he didn't. But he never put a stipulation on his prayer. That's the difference here. He never put anything on there like, well, if you'll do this, Lord, then I'll do this. He did not say that. He simply said, if you would allow this cup to pass from me, then he said, but your will, not my will. That's the difference right there. Sometimes we'll put a thing on a prayer like, Lord, if you do this, I'll do this. Lord, if you do this, I'll do this. You've heard Pastor talk about the vision for any cost. This was the any cost right here. This was the any cost. Lord, he's praying out. Essentially, it said that he was praying so fervently that his sweat was like blood. That's how fervently he was praying. He went back. So do you think that would be a discouragement? If you've asked these disciples, keep watch and pray, and they're falling asleep? and you go back, I mean, how alone did he feel? You know what I mean? At that time, we got to remember this was humanity as well. And so he didn't have to suffer. You know, it could have been to where he didn't, but that was the plan. And he knew it, and he was willing to do it because, again, it was his Father's will, not his will. So I think about why they slept. Why did they sleep? What did he warn them before this happened? Does anybody remember? What did he tell them? Basically told them not to sleep so they don't fall into temptation, right? So your body's weak during that time. They fell into temptation. Excuse me. Peter had just told Jesus prior to this happening, he said he would follow him. None of that. Jesus told him he would deny him 3 times. He just didn't believe him. He went with him to the garden, fell asleep, his flesh became weak. He was weak. He was weak. I think this is what's in my spirit, and I'm again talking to myself. I'm not trying to word this correctly, and I'm like, God, give me the right words to say here. I don't want anybody coming after me. I don't have a license. You can't rip nothing from me. I'm a volunteer. But if we can get the mentality and the mindset to not just praise him with our lips, but we're far from him with our heart. That's literally what's happening. I'm not saying it's not just here, it's everywhere. The works that we do, and that's great, and yes, all the things that we do, but it means nothing to him. Nothing to him. If we don't have it right, if we can't even wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and roll our little carcass out of the bed, you know what I mean? I need to fast that sleep. What's it going to hurt me? It's not. Why is he trying to talk to me at 3 o'clock in the morning? What do you need to talk to me about, Lord? If he's calling me and waking me up for a reason, he's not just waking me up just for me to walk around the house. He wants to talk to me. He wants to spend time with me. That's when my body is the weakest. And he wants to visit with me when I'm in that state. I have no distractions at 3 a.m. None. I'm asleep. This is a perfect time for him to talk to me, for me to spend time with him. It's relationship. This is what I'm talking about right here. It is to be holy is to have relationship. If I don't have that relationship with him, how is he going to move me? How am I going to reach the deeper things of God if I can't even get out of the bed at 3 in the morning? What in the world? I'm going to take on the world? No, I'm not. I can't even get out of the bed at 3 in the morning. This is the truth, and it's the honest truth. And if we're honest with ourselves, every single one of us, there's an area in our life where God is calling you to do this, but you like your flesh a little bit too much. I'm sorry. It's the truth. We get comfortable. It's not comfortable. There is joy in the Lord. There is, we don't have to walk around a miserable people, but we cannot be comfortable. Would you think this was comfortable for him in the garden? It was not comfortable. I can't imagine. I don't even want to get a paper cut. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to put myself in a situation sometimes where I'm like, ooh, I could possibly get hurt by that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll fall. This man, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to get to the place where our comfort doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. He's going to give you strength. He's going to push you into the deeper things with him. He's going to give you revelation. He's going to strengthen you. But he's not going to do that if we can't even get out of the bed at 3 a.m. I'm telling you, it's hit me. It's hit me hard. And I'm like, it's not just me. I know it is. I'm talking to everybody in here. Every one of us. And I don't care who you are. None of us are there yet, right? We're not there. We're not there. I can say what is the scripture? I have it on here. Hold on a minute. Hold on. In Matthew 7 and 21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and not done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Now, you need to understand what I'm saying on this. I'm not saying it doesn't matter and God doesn't honor our efforts, right? But an effort is different than an intention. Okay, I cannot stand when I'm just talking up here. I'm talking. I cannot stand when someone says, well, he knows my heart. God knows my heart. He's going to honor my efforts. What effort? An effort is you actually going and doing something. Talk is cheap. An intention is something else. I intended well. Well, you didn't, but you didn't do it, right? I'm just being, if we're going to reach the deeper things of God, and if we truly believe at any cost, I'm telling you right now, we have got to change our mindset. We have got to get out of our comfort. We have got to push all of our will aside. I'm telling you, it's going to hurt. You're going to lose things, as Pastor had said before. It's going to cost you, and every one of us, it's different. It's all different for every one of us. But we're not going to be able to be effective and get to the place where he needs us to be and wants us to be if we won't even submit to this. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So this is what's in my spirit. This is what I feel like God. It's a warning. I've had dream after dream. I'm telling you, and I'm like, if it's just for me and if I'm just talking to myself right now, so be it. I'm talking to myself. But I feel like I'm not. I feel like it is for every one of us in here. None of us are perfect. Every one of us in here needs to heed to this warning right now. I'm telling you, because we do not have time to waste. I'll do it later. What are we putting? What kind of things are we putting before him? What are we? Sleep, food, extracurricular activities. Like, what are we doing? What does this even mean? Do I sound crazy right now? Like, what does this even mean? Like, why are we here? What is our purpose here? What are we doing? You know? We're just going to be just in the building, and that's another thing. We got to get out of this building. We cannot just come here and just come to church during the services, do our thing, and leave feeling, and I don't care. There are people that serve, and they leave feeling empty. They leave feeling empty. I checked my thing. I did what I was supposed to do. Ba, 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 boom, boom, boom. What are we doing outside of that? Outside of that. You know, so somebody had posted up, and I shared it. I think it's from the UPCI org or something, but somebody posted up why our workplace matters, why our job matters, all these things. And I'm going back to conversation that we have with coworkers, all these kind of things, how we present ourselves. How can we appear one way and then we're another way? We have to live the same life. The world is not looking for fluff. I hate fluff. I hate fluff. The world's not looking for fluff. They don't want to hear somebody just sweet talk them and tell them a cute little sermon and move on. It's to the point even people that are not in the church know, I need something. They feel it. They feel it. Why aren't we feeling it? And so this is where it's come down to. This is where it's come down to. We're never going to see the things that he has for us if we can't get ourselves in relationship with him. If I never see, and you've probably heard this before too, other ministers have said it, I'm saying it again. I'm using Rick as an example. If I never see Rick, and I only see Rick and I only spend time with him here and there, what kind of relationship is that? I don't have an intimate relationship with him if I never see him, if I never spend time with him. I grow apart from him, right? Offense is so easy to come in. That's another thing that's going here. An offense, and it even says in the last days, many will be offended. Not some, many will be offended. That is not just women. That is men. Men get offended. Women get offended. Do you know how quick offense can come in? Offense sometimes doesn't look like offense. That's how sneaky it is. Offense sometimes can just be aggravated at a situation or someone because it wasn't done the way you thought it should be done. Well, I wouldn't have done it that way. I mean, my Lord, who cares? I'm super A type, and whatever the Enneagram, I'm an 8, whatever that all means. That's what they say I am. But what I'm saying is, even with that, the older I get, I don't care. I don't care. If it's not going to give me peace and it's going to disrupt my peace, I don't want it. I don't want to be around it. I'll step back from it. That's how much I don't care. So I will literally step back from it. But that's how it does. And offense will come in and it doesn't even look like it. And then what happens is, well, then you start getting a seed of bitterness in you. I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around this person. I can't even look at this person. It's like, and it all started over how they organized the coffee. I don't know. I'm being dumb. But something small. And it can be something that small. But it grows and grows and grows and grows. And then what ends up happening is then you don't even hear the voice of God. You don't even hear him. You don't even hear him. You have such a seed of bitterness in you, he can't reach you. And if that is an issue that goes on through the entire church, through people not in church, I see it in the workplace. I see it, man, I'm telling you, I see it. I'm like, Lord, and I'm not even going to lie and say I've never been offended. I have. I've been offended. I have been offended, and it's taken me a minute to get over some stuff, right? But I pray, Lord, I need you to keep my spirit in check. I need you to let me know. I need a flag, but I need to feel something. I need to hear a click. I need something. If it looks like something in disguise, but it's going to end up being offense. I need you to keep me away from that. I need you, but how am I going to do that? I'm not going to be able to do that unless I'm close to him. Man, if I am close to him and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as far as like I'm in relationship with him. That's what I call it. Relationship with him. I'm spending time with him. I'm in the Word. How can you walk away mad after you've been in the Word and time with God? You can't. Why do you think that a lot of times when things are going on, people come up to the altar and, man, they get a move of God and God touches them? Everything's good, right? They walk away, right? It's all good. But they don't stay in that constant relationship with him. If they were to carry that, I'm talking to myself. If we were to carry that and keep it going with us and not just wait for the altar to fix us and just keep it with us, I'm telling you, things will change. in your life, you won't even recognize yourself. The old self, right? The old self. But this is where I feel like, and I told you, I'm all over. I just said, I have notes here, but like I said, I couldn't really frame it. And I said, Lord, I just need you to say the things that you would have me to say. I get nervous up here. I don't ever want to say anything that it didn't come from him. I don't want it to be Elizabeth's words. I think I've told you guys this on another thing. I got to stand before him one day. For every word that I say, every single word that I say. Yes, I know he has mercy, but I don't know. That's my thing. So I'm real particular about what I say. I don't ever want it to be something that's going to be an issue for me later. You know what I mean? Oh, sorry. And I hope this is not coming out too harsh, but I kind of need it to be harsh. I kind of need it to be bold. I kind of need it to be a reality check. I don't know. I wish you could feel my spirit. I wish you could. The heaviness. It's such a heaviness. You know? And I look at my own self. I can only talk about myself. Ourselves are the best example, right? Because we know ourselves. But I look at my own self, and I'm like, is this necessarily wrong? It's not necessarily wrong, but does he want to take it from me so he can get me into something else, right? Maybe I don't need to spend so much time doing this. You know, is it wrong? No, it's not wrong, but, you know, if I'm to be holy and to be called holy and to be like him, he wants to take me to those other places. That's not the place, Elizabeth. That's not where I want you. That's not where I want you. I want you over here. Can you move over here for me? Can you get out of the bed at 3 a.m. for me, Elizabeth? I need to talk to you. Oh. We're such fools. We are. We're such fools. I set my alarm sometimes, and I'm like, I'm going to talk to God at 6 a.m., read my Bible at 6. That doesn't always work out. My dog comes in there, and he puts the slobbers all over my Bible. And, you know, I get distracted and this and that, and I'm like, God, you already knew this. That's why you're trying to get me up at 3. But we're fools. We try to control the narrative. And that's our problem. We try to control too much. And when our hands are on it, his hands can't be on it. He's not going to compete. He will not compete. He will not do it. But if he's calling you and he's nudging you, he's reaching for you. He wants something from you. She just gave me my flag. I think I'm done here. I think we should pray. We have 5 minutes. I think we need to pray. All right, thank you all. We have just a few minutes before they transition over to service. Love you all.